Welcome to the latest episode of the miniature painting series. Today we'll cover the steps to paint the boss from the Executioner's Chariot expansion. The Executioner's Chariot boss is a complex miniature divided in 3 models: the Chariot, the Horse, and the Rider, and we will tackle all 3 separately today. I hope you enjoy the ride! For this project, you need a lot of colors. Here is the list for you. The first step is priming the miniature, and if you still have any questions on how to do that, don't forget to check the How to Paint Miniature guide. Also, prime each of the models separately. We will start our journey with the Chariot. I paint the wood of the carriage with the dark brown like Hinox hide, and I do the same for the shaft. Then I paint the metal parts of the chariot and the side spears of the wheels with lead belcher. There are some spikes in the handle that I use the same metal color. If you're enjoying this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button to get a notification when the next episode is up. For the wheels themselves, I mix some Hinox hide and Mournfang brown for a lighter color. I also mix Mournfang brown and Ushbari bone for the wood parts on the inside of the wheels to have an even lighter tone for the brown. I used Ushbari bone for the tooth bone at the back of the chariot. For some spice, I mixed Mepstone red and Hinox hide for blood on the spears. For the leather straps of the handle, I used Mournfang brown. Then I dry brushed the brown parts with Goldfag brown. For the metal protection of the wheels, I added another layer of lead belcher. As this seemed an old chariot, I wanted some rust effects, and for that I mixed Rose Layer Orange with Mournfang brown and applied it in some strategic metal parts of the chariot. I shaded the metal and wooden parts with Null oil. I also added Seraphim Sepia to the bottom part of the tooth for an aged effect. There is a little torch attached to the chariot, and I use Mournfang brown for the wood handle, Ushbari bone for the cloth, and Ceramite white as the base for the flame. The flame was painted with a few layers of Flesh Glitz yellow, then Trolls Layer orange, and finally Wild Rider red. To finish the chariot, I used Seraphim Sepia to shade the cloth. The next model of the chariot is the Undead Horse. I start by dry brushing the mane with Dawnstone. Then I paint the horse's body and legs with Ceramite white. I use Administratum Grey for the hoof. Then I shade the base of the hoof and the white parts with Null oil. To share a piece of wisdom with you, for the part that I've just learned, it's called a Hame, we will paint with a mix of Mournfang brown and Hinox hide. I've used Mepstone red to paint the demonic eyes. The reins and the saddle are painted with Mournfang brown. I painted the blanket, the bearing cloth, and the rags around the legs with Mechanicus Standard Grey. The chains, the hame tag, cheek piece, and headpiece are painted with lead belcher. I also dry brush all the Mechanicus Grey parts with Longbeard Grey. I shaded the brown parts and the grey fabric with Null oil. Finally, I dry brushed Jane Stiller purple in front of the horse to look like his Phantasmagoric breathing effect. The last model for the boss is the Rider. I start by dry brushing Ushbari bone over the black primer. The decomposing guts of the Rider are a mix of Mepstone red and Hinox hide. Then I use Mechanicus Standard Grey for its robes. All the armor parts are painted with lead belcher. For the undershirt and pants, I mixed Mournfang brown with Hinox hide. I painted the flying rag with Mastone red. The scythe handle is done with Hinox hide. And I paint the blade and chainmail skirt with lead belcher. To finalize the scythe, I paint the handle straps with Mornfang brown. I use Wraithbone for the hanging skull and Witchbody bone for the hope that's holding it. For the fur coat, I just Drybrush Longbeard Grey over the black primer. The last part for the shade, I use Seraphim Sepia for the bone parts and Null Oil for everything else. And this is the final result. Let me know in the comment section below if you attempt to paint the boss with this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed and see you next time.